Welcome, Night Anime Recap. After a fierce battle between Akoya and Hayama, the last part of this anime continues with a member of the Kure assassin family named Fuzue Kure, stalking a house to carry out long-range assassinations. While Fuzue Kure was scouting, her older brother, Enzo Kure, came to her to give her some food. It turns out that the person Fuzue targets is Kazuo's son, Kenzo Yamashita, who has always locked himself in his room. Back in the battle arena at the Octagon Stadium, the participants who will be the fighters in this duel are Rayan Kure and Mokichi Robinson. When the match was about to start, Rayan Kure entered the arena covered in blood because he had just beaten Lihito in the bathroom. Meanwhile, Mokichi seemed to be saying goodbye to his little sister Elena Robinson before entering the arena. When the fight begins, Rayan looks more aggressive by making various consecutive attacks at Mokichi with great ferocity. But Mokichi calmly overcomes these attacks by using classic jujitsu martial arts moves to impress Ario Kure. After successfully executing a strong defensive strategy, Mokichi immediately counterattacked with greater strength so that Rayan was brought down. But even so, Rayan bounced back with a killing aura so terrifying that it made Lihito look nervous because he had been defeated by the technique. Rayan then beats Mokichi using a secret technique from the Kure assassin family called the release technique. As a result of mastering a very capable technique and increasing attack power, he finally managed to defeat Mokichi by breaking his neck. Kazuo, who saw the incident in the audience, became very scared because one day Oma would have to face someone as brutal as Rayan. In the waiting room, Kazuo and Kid asked Oma to get ready because he was going to fight in the next match. On the other hand, a male fighter named Inaba is also preparing to fight Oma and is determined to win this match according to his boss's request. When the battle started, Kazuo seemed happy because Oma seemed to have the upper hand in the duel. Even Inaba's lightning attack technique was successfully broken by Oma's interval attack technique, so he managed to give Inaba a hard blow. After a fairly fierce battle, Oma intended to end the fight by issuing the strongest kick attack to Inaba, but Inaba's action was prevented by using his very strong hair. In times of crisis, Oma recalled the spirit given by his late teacher, Neko Takeda, so that he regained his strength to fight against Inaba. After successfully untying Inaba's hair from his body, he beat Inaba with very strong blows in a row until Inaba was overwhelmed. After successfully dropping Inaba, Oma was declared the winner in the match and qualified for the next round. After the match, Inaba's boss, Yurita, visited his room to be treated and recalled the memories of when they first met, where Yurita helped him when his father died in the Kengan fight several years ago. Yurita has also considered Inaba his friend and his family, so their relationship became closer. In another operating room, Mokichi has been saved thanks to an operation carried out by a fighter from Taito University named Hanafusa Hajime. When Hajime saw the fight between Oma and Inaba, he seemed to recognize Oma as if they had met before. In the fifth match, the one-on-one duel took place more quickly, and a fighter named Takashi Wakatsuki was declared the winner after defeating a fighter named Murabuchi. In the first match in the other standings, Julius Reinhold was declared the winner because the head of the music company had decided to withdraw from the fight. The representative fighter from the music company also seemed surprised to hear that and immediately went to meet his leader, Tagawa Yoshiko. After investigation, it turned out that Tagawa was forced to resign from the fight because she had been threatened by a group of fighters belonging to Katsumasa's company. This person had previously planned the attack above. Not long after, Sawada, who did not accept the cheating, immediately attacked Julius by using a high kick to the neck. Unfortunately, all of these attacks left Sawada seriously injured because Julius was able to break his right leg. When Julius almost finished off, Tagawa, Oma, and Kazuo coincidentally came to the place so that Tagawa was rescued and Katsumasa's henchmen left the place. Then the next battle, one of the fighters from Katsumasa's subsidiary, Masaki, will fight against a clever fighter named Mutiba Gazenga. At first, Gazenga seemed overwhelmed to attack Masaki because he had already crushed Gazenga and had considerable physical strength. However, after Gazenga fought back by attacking Masaki's eyes, ears, and testicles, he finally had an opening to escape from his body. After a fairly brutal fight between them, Gizengan finally wins the match after he kills Masaki by destroying his brain. Katsumasa, who saw the incident, looked relaxed because all this time, he only thought of Masaki as his pet, while in the audience, Kazuo looked shocked because it was the first time he had seen someone killed in a fight. Shortly afterward, Oma said that Masaki died because he was too weak and that it was normal in a Death Kengan fight. That night, Hajime came to see the results of Oma's medical examination and concluded that his time was short. In the next battle round, a male fighter named Takaru Kyozan will fight against one of the strongest fighters, Jun Sekibayashi, who once fought against Oma. When the match started, Jun deliberately provoked Takaru's anger by inviting him over and over until finally Takaru, who couldn't take it anymore, beat Jun. At the beginning of the match, Jun continued to let Takaru beat him without resistance until he started running out of energy. Even after Takaru released his attack technique called Kakuyoku, Jun still insulted him by saying he was not a real fighter. Hearing Jun's outrageous insults, Takaru also chose to use his ultimate attack, relying on the power of a very fast foot jump to ram his body. But after the lightning strike, Jun could get back up, and Takaru instead lay helpless in front of him. Turns out that Jun has a very strong abdominal muscle strength that made Takaru's head hurt very badly when he attacked Jun's stomach using his head. After seeing the helpless Takaru, Jun immediately ended the match by slamming Takaru's body to the ground very hard. In the evening, all the fighters and leaders rest and enjoy a delicious dinner of various dishes. A male fighter named Rei can also spend his time having fun with his female boss, Rhino. But this is different from Oma, who chooses to practice in his sleep by imagining all the enemies he has faced before. After fighting with other fighters, Oma suddenly met his teacher who had died, Nico, who challenged him to fight. He immediately attacked Nico with various techniques that had been taught by Nico. Still, besides that technique, Oma also often used a technique called progress to be able to defeat his opponent. Unfortunately, the advancement technique risks making Oma seriously injured if he uses the technique for a long time. Nico advised him to prioritize using the fighting techniques he had taught, but Oma still doubted Nico's technique because he lost the battle against Kiryu. When Oma suddenly woke up from his sleep, Kazuo and Kid were coincidentally already in Oma's room, worrying that his condition was getting worse. Shortly after he woke up, he suddenly had a nosebleed and coughed up so much blood that he began to realize that the illness was caused by the effects of using the advancement technique. The next day, the Kengan fighting tournament resumed with a one-on-one duel match between a fighter named Yoshinari Kari from the Kajiro Fish Farm Company and Sapang Yoroizuka, a representative from Fajar village. The fight begins with Saw continuously attacking Kari using a self-defense technique from Myanmar called Lethwei Fist. Lethwei's fist was a continuous punch attack that prioritized attack speed and agility over the defense. After understanding the situation, Kari immediately took advantage of Saw's low defense gap by attacking him at his vital points. However, the attack was still unable to make Saw fall completely because he had trained his skull a lot since he was a child, so he had very strong skull bones. The fight continued again until Saw finally managed to lock Kari and break his neck with one very strong blow. As a result, the battle was won by Saw, and the fish company owned by Kari's boss had to hand over their dock to Saw's boss named Katsumasa, the leader of a private electricity company. The next match is a one-on-one duel between Rei Mikazuchi, a representative from Reno's company, and a large male fighter named Masami Natsu, a representative of the Destiny Land Company. Rei is a genius fighter known to have a mysterious assassination technique called the Raishin technique, which can only be mastered by people who have completely fused with darkness. The fight ended quickly because he defeated Masami with one lightning attack in the form of a deadly blow. In the next battle, Oma was surprised by the arrival of his mortal enemy, Setsuna Kiryu, in the middle of the battle arena. Kiryu will fight against a talented fighter named Ren Nikaido in this one-on-one duel match. When the match started, the battle between them was very fierce because both had very capable fighting skills, Ren with his technique called Qilong and Kiryu with his classic jujitsu called Koi technique. However, after their lightning strikes each other, Kiryu finally wins the match by a landslide after he manages to twist Ren's heart. When Kiryu left the arena, he signaled to Oma that he would wait for Oma in the upcoming match. The scene changes to Lahito lying limp in the medical room because he has been defeated by a powerful fighter named Gensai Kuroki, who has mastered ancient Okinawan Jiu-Jitsu. The one-on-one duel between Hatsumi from the Nogi group and Takayuki Chiba from the real estate company in the next round was also short. At first, Takayuki seemed confident by saying that he had mastered the fighting techniques of 22 Kengan fighters, but all that meant nothing when Hatsumi managed to defeat him in less than 30 seconds. After the match ended, Kinogi approached Takayuki's boss, Yoshiro, and taunted him by saying he was just a loser. Kinogi also reveals that he has learned Yoshiro's evil plan, which intends to kidnap him using the services of an assassin. However, he manages to thwart Yoshiro's devious plan by offering the Kengan Association membership position to the assassin's chief. As a result, Yoshiro had to accept that he would lose all his assets and membership in the Kengan Association. The scene switches to a male fighter named Yohei Bando, who has just left the arena after he managed to defeat a young fighter named Hajime Hanafusa, the doctor who has been treating Oma all this time. Meanwhile, Hajime, who had fallen because his collarbone had been twisted by Bando, finally managed to be saved by a man named Lord Dazai. After the position of the collarbone was corrected, Hajime regained consciousness from his stupor and explained that his collarbone wasn't broken but only shifted slightly. However, it was the opposite with Bando, who suddenly fell limp after he left the arena. As it turned out, Bando had been exposed to a deadly virus from Hajime's bone sword during the match, so he died in the end even though he had won the match. In the next match, a male fighter named Gaolon from Thailand will fight with Swakichi, who previously took the position of a fighter named Ryo Himuro. At first, Gaolon didn't attack Swakichi seriously and only hit him with one-handed punches in succession. However, after Swakichi challenged Gaolon to attack him with all seriousness, Gaolon immediately changed to slaughter mode to finish him off. Swakichi thought that he would have the momentum to attack Gaolon in the final attack, but it turns out that Gaolon managed to defeat him in the last attack. In the last match in the first round of the Kengan tournament, a fighter named Naoya will fight against Kano Agito, the legendary Kengan fighter who represents the Mitsudo Company. Many spectators were enthusiastic and anticipating the match because Kano is the legendary fighter of Kengan who has never lost in all the matches he has faced. After a very fierce match, Kano finally managed to defeat Naoya, causing him to fall and suffer severe trauma like all the fighters who had been defeated by Kano before. The next day, the first match in the second round of the Kengan tournament began with a duel between Aimi Cosmo and Okoya Seishi. In this fight, Okoya seemed superior with physical strength and greater fighting ability than Cosmo. But in the end, Cosmo beat Okoya with his Python grip technique and secured a position to qualify for the third round. On the other hand, Oma saw Kazuo, who was worried about the game, so Oma approached him and calmed him down so he wouldn't be too nervous. In the middle of Oma and Kazuo's conversation, Ario and Rei Kure suddenly approached them to ask them to bet on the life of Kenzo, Kazuo's son. Seeing the confused Kazuo, Ario explained that all this time, Kazuo was the original leader of the Undermoon organization. This assassin organization also worked with the Kure family. Ario intends to put Kenzo's life at stake because he has acted as if he is controlling the Kure family clan. Oma, who feels sorry for Kazuo, decides to accept the challenge and fights Rei Kure in the next match to save Kenzo's life. When the duel between Oma and Rei was about to take place, Kazuo couldn't stop thinking about Kenzo's life. However, Oma tried to calm him and reassure Kazuo that he would not let Kenzo's life be in danger. Meanwhile, Kenzo begins to realize that his house has been surrounded by the Kure family, and he continues to be watched over by many members of the Kure family. Even the Kure family dared to plant small bombs around his house to terrorize him and assign several snipers to spy on him from a distance. Back to Oma and Rayan, who fought fiercely and were full of tension. He repeatedly attacks Rayan, but Rayan can stop and counter his attack with one hard blow. After repeatedly trying to take down Rayan, Oma realizes that he must transform into Ashura mode to defeat him. They immediately changed to their respective Ashura modes and began to fight using a much more powerful force. In the middle of the fight, Kazuo received information from Hajime that Oma's Ashura mode was from heart control, and if he used that mode for too long, he would be in danger. Hearing that, Kazuo immediately rushed to call Kenzo to save himself so that Oma didn't have to continue the fight. However, the battle between Oma and Rayan can't be stopped anymore because Rayan is determined to kill him. When Oma fell unconscious in the battle arena, Kiryu shouted at him to get up immediately, and Kazuo also begged him to get back on his feet and win the match. After Oma got back up again, the fight between him and Rayan continued to be fierce until he finally managed to beat Rayan with one hard blow on Rayan's neck. Seeing Rayan lying helpless in the middle of the arena, the audience looked shocked. It was hard to believe that the Kure family, known as a legendary assassins, could be defeated by Oma Takeda. After the match ended, Kazuo went to Ario to apologize for Kenzo's mistakes towards the Kure family. Hearing Kazuo's sincere request, Ario immediately kept his promise to release Kenzo and canceled the plan to kill him according to the agreement he had made earlier. After Kazuo left, Ario received information about why Oma was able to join the Kengan tournament from Kanogi. Kanogi mentions that he purposely sent Oma to join the Kengan Association so that he could take over Mitsudo's position as chairman of the Kengan Association after Mitsudo's term ended later. After that, Kazuo approached Oma and thanked him for fighting to the death to save Kenzo. Thanks to Oma's hard work, Kazuo can feel relieved and grateful after hearing the news that Kenzo is fine. After Oma's victory overcame the best fighter from the Kure family, Oma, Kazuo, and Ki decided to celebrate their victory by having dinner together. This is the end of the anime. This anime teaches us not to give up easily in every difficult situation in our lives, and to always remember everyone who supports us so that we can be more enthusiastic about achieving our goals.